Another week gone by, it's time for the week that was. Welcome to another episode of The Week That Was, a weekly program where we highlight the news stories of the week which are published in the People's Daily, The Herald. This week we catch up with restarting of mining promise, allegations against the Union Minister's daughter embroiled in an excise license, and how the POGO Bill misfired. To discuss these and other stories of the last week, I have with me the group editor of Herald publication, Mr. Sujay Gupta.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
On Wednesday, July 20th, where we begin the last week, the headlines in the Herald reads, "Ore extraction will begin within 5 months," the Chief Minister says on the floor of the House, and it says that the auctioning process would take about 4 months and give or take here another month. The mining would restart in 5 months.
Look, the thing is, this whole issue of the restarting of mining is beginning to sound like the crying wolf story all the time. And that is exactly what has been happening. And this whole script is being played out far too often. See, people don't understand certain basics. The basics is to restart mining. What do you need? You need environment clearances, ECs. Without those environment clearances, no mining can start.
Yeah.
The whole process of getting an EC is a long drawn out process which takes between 12 to 18 months.
Yeah.
It could even go into 24 months.
Okay.
Now, getting an EC involves a lot of other issues. For instance, it involves public hearing, it involves discourses, there's a back and forth, you have to invite objections. You know, the point is, we must understand that there is not a single lease in Goa which has a confirmed EC built. Okay. Now, to restart mining, you need fresh ECs. Without ECs, you cannot even start the mining process. So even if you do this auctioning, you cannot do auctioning of a lease which does not have a EC. So on what basis? I'm saying that there may be many arguments to and fro, and you can start a whole fast track process or whatever.
Yeah.
But has anybody given an assurance that they will clear the ECs in a span of 2 to 3 months? You don't even know who is going to be working on those ECs. The other option is, and that's a more pragmatic way to look at it, though many people don't agree with it, is that you have the mineral corporation. Now the point is the corporation in place or not? Are the bylaws in place or not? Firstly, for instance, if you have said that all mining in Goa will be done through the mineral corporation, okay?
So the corporation was not mentioned during this time in the Goa Assembly.
At all. The word corporation, that itself speaks volumes. Because the corporation is going to be the custodian of all our mineral resources on behalf of the people. The mining process has to be done by the mineral corporation. You need to have a body which conducts this process, and the mineral corporation has to do it. Now, the mineral corporation itself has not been formed in all its aspects. Number one. Number two, what could happen and what is the right way to do is you get the mineral corporation, and everybody will talk about all the cons of this and why it is not possible and so on and so forth. But logically, there is no legal bar to doing it this way. You have a mineral corporation. Let the corporation be in charge of conducting the entire mining process. There is no bar in one being pragmatic and saying that let the mineral corporation be the custodian of all mineral resources of Goa and all the leases thereof. And my point is, you allow the mineral corporation to be the leaseholder of all these leases and get mining contractors and other people who will do the actual work of extracting to get into a contract with the mineral corporation and do it. But they will not do it because there are bigger games and bigger names in play. And they will not allow the whole mining ecosystem to be handed over to a government corporation, which is why this is not happening. But in any case, even if we put all these arguments to one side, one completely understands that you cannot be doing it in this kind of a manner because of the fact that ECs can't happen in France.
Okay. On 21st of July, there is a story in Herald which talks about the license for Goa restaurant linked to Union Minister renewed in the name of a dead person, and this is revealed to an RTI. And we know that this news has dominated the last week and the beginning of this week itself with regard to...
Yes, pretty see this news has dominated not just the national, the local media, but the national media as well.
Yeah.
It's gone completely viral, as a news of this sort is bound to do. Because when you have a story where sitting union minister's daughter is running a restaurant whose licenses have been given, not to her directly because the licenses were taken in the name of the landlord, I presume.
Yeah.
And if these licenses have been renewed in the name of a dead person, irrespective of the norms in place and whatever happens, it prima facie comes as a shock. Number one.
Yeah.
Number two, the RTI activist who's got all these details his document seems to suggest that the license process was not followed. And the licenses were given. Apparently, there was no restaurant license when the bar license was given. These are allegations that they've made. What is surprising, of course, and the Congress has found an easy handle and they've taken it up. They've again, see, I'm not very sure whether it's correct to say, to get into other things into whether that restaurant served beef or pork or whatever. It's a private restaurant and it can serve whatever else it wants to. So that part of the argument I don't think is justified. But what is justified here is to ask questions as to whether powerful people or their families are managing to cut corners and getting their private affairs sorted out, their private business affairs sorted out because of the positions that family members hold in government or not.
Yeah.
That is a big question, because if there is evidence of that, then that is something serious and that is wrong, because that cannot happen. Because if you see that in every civilized country in the world, from the king to the commoner, there is a level playing field for everybody.
Yeah.
See, the thing is, one will not go into whether that the restaurant served beef or pork or whatever, because that's a private organization, private institution, a private restaurant, and it can serve whatever else it wants to, within the framework of the law, and that I don't think should be a subject of discussion. But however, very rightly, the whole furor has been raised because there seems to be a case made out where the licenses and the NOCs and the permissions to set up the restaurant was either fast-tracked or given erroneously or given without going into the due process of law, because of the powerful people involved, and because it is owned by the kin of a union minister in some way or the other. That is the overall impression. Whether technically there's Preeti Irani's name in the property documents or not, and all that we do not know. But there is enough prima facie kind of evidence and knowledge to know that her daughter was running that restaurant, and it was her restaurant. But there is no crime there. The people are essentially reacting because what happens is a common person, a common Goan, for instance, since we are here, if he wants to start a restaurant or any establishments, as it were, getting all the permissions sorted is a Herculean effort for everybody.
It would take years.
It would take years. I mean, many months, if not years. And you run from pillar to post. Getting an excise license is difficult. I mean, the process is long. So the point is, when they realize that, look, when the common man suffers and the uncommon person does not, then this problem happens. And if you see, this level playing field should happen in India. The level playing field exists in every country, whether you're a king or a commoner or a prime minister or an ordinary businessman or a worker. The rules apply to everybody.
Yeah.
If you break a traffic signal, you're fined. Even a president's son in the US is fined if he breaks a traffic signal.
Yeah.
Boris Johnson's downfall started from the time he held a party during COVID time. Look at the number of parties and COVID violations that our VIPs have happened. There has been no furor even then.
Yeah.
So what I'm essentially saying is this has become acceptable, but somewhere it hurts, and that is exactly what has happened.
Yeah. Okay. On 21st July, on the same issue, the page 1 anchor, we have a story of Siddhi Naik murder case is under investigation.
Yes.
And giving details will hamper the probe, the chief minister says. And then, the father of Siddhi Naik, he hits out that there are obstacles being created and there is no justice for the poor people.
See, on the 12th of July, I think we completed 1 year of Siddhi Vinayak's body being found on the sands of the Kalangut beach. Now, let's keep everything aside. If a girl has died an unnatural death and her body was found devoid of clothes on the beach on 1 year ago, it is totally unacceptable that for 1 full year you are unable to ascertain the cause of death.
Yeah.
It's very clear. I mean, you can rule it out as, initially they ruled it out as suicide, but there is no evidence to that fact. The GMC in its autopsy report and thereafter, a medical committee went into it thereafter, very categorically saying that the manner of a death needs to be investigated. See, a death can be homicidal or it can be suicidal.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you also need to know the manner of the death.
Yeah.
The manner of the death needs to be figured out, whether it is homicidal or suicidal.
Yeah.
The cause of death could be your lung collapse, or it could be a heart attack, or it could be an organ disruption. That could be the cause of death.
Yeah.
But the manner of death is very important in a criminal investigation. And the problem here is that the viscera was not preserved. Now, if the viscera is not preserved, and we know, and we've written about it also, we also know the manner in which it was not preserved.
Disposed of.
Yeah, we know. Yeah, we are aware of that as well.
Yeah.
Well, disposed of meaning that you take it out. You actually, in this case, interestingly, I'm just getting into a little bit of medical detail. Here what happens is you don't preserve the viscera, you keep it in the body. That's what happens. In these cases, you have to take the viscera out and preserve it.
Okay.
But when you don't take the viscera out or leave it in the body, which means you're destroying evidence.
Yeah.
Because when the body is buried or burned, the viscera goes with it. And
Yeah.
that's a very crucial point of evidence.
Yeah.
So the point is, now the father went and it was finally registered as a murder case.
Yeah.
Sometime in December, I think. Okay. In December, it is registered as a murder case. For the last 7 to 8 months, even that murder investigation has not happened. The police very conveniently, may not be conveniently, but for the sake of better investigation, let's put it, send it to the crime branch.
Yeah.
Now, what has happened after that? There is nothing on record or even otherwise to say that any evidence has been recorded or the father has been called. See, ultimately in this case, the family has to be the key witness.
Yeah.
They have not been questioned even once. So this just shows that there is I won't even say it is a lackadaisical or callousness. I feel there is a deliberate attempt not to proceed with this case any further. And that is a very strong charge, and that is very unfortunate. And the father is fighting a lone battle there.
Okay. On Friday, July the 22nd, Herald has a story in the right corner with regard to the voting in the presidential election.
Yes.
Who jumped? Mystery votes take Draupadi Murmu's tally to 28, 3 more than NDA's Goa strike.
See, that mystery has still not been solved. But the interesting part is that it is really a mystery because it can go anyway. Okay. The NDA in the Goa Assembly, which is BJP, the MGP and the 3 independents, total to 25 in a 40-member house.
Yeah.
The opposition is 15 MLAs, 11 Congress, 1 Goa Forward Party, that is your 12, 2 Aam Aadmi Party and 1 RG Party.
Yeah.
That's 15. So ideally, when a voting takes place for the presidential election, the actual tally should have been 25 for the NDA candidate and 15 for the opposition candidate.
Yeah.
But here, 28 went to the NDA candidate and 12 went to the opposition candidate.
Yeah.
Now, there are 2 ways of looking at it. When you say it went to the opposition candidate, one first suspicion is 3 people from the Congress took the tally from 25 to 28.
Yeah.
But the Congress is turning around and saying that why are you blaming us? Because we are 12, meaning 11 of them and Goa Forward, 12 parties. And 12 people voted. The 2 of AAP and 1 of RG could have voted for the BJP. Yeah. They could technically turn around and say because there is no proof. Okay. So it could be anything. My point is it could go anywhere. But we all know people in Goa are intelligent. They understand which way the wind is blowing. And there is a clear suspicion that cross voting has happened, and the needle of suspicion points more towards the Congress than the others. But however, you can't kind of directly pinpoint and say, look, you are the culprit unless an investigation is done. And what is more interesting is the Congress is very conveniently like an ostrich. They buried their heads in the sand and they're not even thinking about the matter, because they know that once they think about the matter, there are certain other plans that are working out, some other conspiracies that are cooking will ultimately not happen. So nobody is interested in knowing the truth, though everybody knows the truth.
So now this is July 22nd. Now what does it say about the political turf or the political stability of this term of the legislature.
See, the political stability of the BJP is guaranteed. Come what may, there is no harm to the BJP stability. They've already got 25, they may get 28, they may get 38 for all you know. Everybody can move. So there is no threat to the stability. But there is not only a threat, but the absolute certainty of the Congress's credibility. The BJP stability is guaranteed and the Congress's credibility is gone. This is exactly what the situation is.
Okay. On 24th July, that is Sunday, lead story in the Herald talks about the rejected POGO bill. It was regressive and propaganda filled, says the legal community. So Herald reached out to the legal fraternity to get comments on
Yes.
such a bill.
Yes.
And you have advocate Cleophas Coutinho, who says that such bills have to be enacted by Parliament and not by legislative states, because sometimes states go overboard and they bring out some ultra-regional legislation.
See, the fallacy of the POGO bill is that it was intended primarily to serve the Goan, non-Indian Goans who are basically abroad, to ensure that they also get benefits. I am saying the POGO bill may have had altruistic motives of giving more benefits to Goan in jobs and other things. The altruistic motive has its own place.
Yeah.
But my point is, if that is the case, then the bill should have been very clearly and explicitly stated in all its versions. As we have discovered, the various versions of the bill, lot to and fro happened.
Yeah.
That initially it went to the extent of saying the first draft bill rather, which the POGO party went and distributed to everybody and sought votes.
Yeah.
It very clearly said a person of Goan origin is somebody, of course, with all other conditions, that has to be born before 1961 and a parentage has to be established and so on and so forth. The usual conditions for being called a Goan. But they said that if they were part of the Portuguese establishment before liberation, then they were entitled to be and enjoyed Indian citizenship thereafter. They are entitled to be called under POGO irrespective of the passport or the nationality that they now hold.
Yeah.
Now, this is absolutely ultra-virus to the constitution itself.
Yeah.
My point is, the Keshav Bharati judgment of the Union of the Supreme Court very clearly says that no amendment of the Indian constitution can tamper with the basic nature of the constitution.
Yeah.
And the basic nature of the constitution is that you cannot make somebody who's a non-Indian get benefits under the umbrella of the Indian constitution. I think that is where it fails.
Yeah.
And in every amendment or every kind of iteration that they've done or draft that they've done, they have sidestepped on two things. One is that the Constitution of India is absolutely supreme and nothing can be done unless it's part of the Constitution of India. They may turn around and say, but that is given for all bills. Okay, but if that is the case, you have to also say a person of Goan origin has to be a citizen of India first.
Yeah.
And if you become a POGO and then give up the Indian citizenship thereafter, you choose to be a POGO from that day.
Yeah.
But that clarity has not happened. It will never happen, and it's obviously blatantly unconstitutional.
Okay. Then moving on to Monday, July the 25th, we have this reaction to the political instability that has come post the assembly elections,
Yes.
where people are letting their voice be heard. And in this context, you have the story, Democracy's Goan warriors show that people's governance will rule. And we have people moving from Margaon to Panjim and now to Old Goa, which is in the Kumbajo constituency, protesting against possible defections and sending out a warning signal to their MLAs.
I only wish, though this is a good move and we totally support it, we only wish that firstly, two things should have happened. More people should have come out onto the streets, not now, in a proper democratic way, but during elections. During elections, when they went to the different religious places and took oath, that is the time people should have also come out and told the people that, look, we are believing you and trusting you because you have taken this oath. But the point here is that if there is any violation of this, please forget it. We will never vote for you ever in your lives, and won't even, we will ensure that you lose every election that you stand. That kind of a pushback should have come from people. Even now, I feel, apart from the initiative being taken today, people in Goa need to react much more, but they will react. My point, because you cannot fool all the people all the time in this kind of a manner. If these defections happen, we really hope that there is a strong pushback from the people. The same kind of people's passion and anger that one saw when they found flaws with the regional plan. And we must admit that during that time the government pushed back the regional plan. The Gambar Kamat at that point of time did push back the regional plan and not take it. So we feel that people will certainly teach a lesson if their vote is traded in this kind of a manner.
Now, what does this say about the Goan politician as such? In the sense that, I mean, having looked at the election, you find 7 out of 10 defectors have lost. So, is this why do the politicians in Goa want to take a risk? What is at stake?
The politicians in Goa, see, the point is the politicians in Goa are keen to do a short-term trading and short-term business instead of building up a long-term business. I look at it as a business, nothing more. They are all businessmen, they are not politicians. And they feel that they can make money by doing a short-term business and ensuring that they are completely taken care of for the rest of their lives. And it doesn't matter whether they lose the next election or not. I'm saying, because otherwise, why is the name of so many first-time MLAs coming up in this defection list? It obviously means that they don't want a long-term career. They just want some short-term success, be a minister for one term or a chairman of a corporation for one term and it's over. So, people are using politics as a so-called quote-unquote legitimate business by trading people's sentiments. That's all that is happening.
Does it have to do with the nature of elections and the nature of the Goan voter? Because as one of the MLAs said that he had taken a loan and he invested 20 crores into these elections.
That's what I'm saying, that now these are earlier on these kind of discussions or even a mention of these kind of things used to happen behind closed doors. Now it is openly spoken about. People are talking completely openly about how much money they spent in the election. They have no concern for the fact that you cannot be spending this kind of an amount you are not entitled to by the Election Commission. Where did you get this money from? Where does the 20 crores come from? So I'm just saying, so people have become absolutely blatant and citizens are not asking any questions, and that is where the tragedy lies.
Okay, on Tuesday, July the 26th, that is the day we are shooting this incident, tragic news for all theatre lovers and theatre fraternity, where comedian Selvi died on Monday, turning laughter to tears. And this is the second shock which that theatre fraternity has received after the death of Mario Menezes.
Two very untimely deaths, and obviously the theatre fraternity and all lovers of theatre in Goa are reeling from this shock, because they did not expect, firstly, tragedy King Mario to pass away on his way to Bombay to actually do a show. Yeah. And one shows that the love for theatre in Goa is such that even after his passing away, his troupe went to Bombay and actually did the shows, and his role was done by somebody else. Yeah. And so the point here is, it just shows, and comedian Selvi also left us at a very early age. He was born in 74. He died, and he passed away only at an age of 48. Yeah. And one remembers, people who are theatre lovers remember him very, very fondly, especially his rendition in Augustine's theatres. Yeah. I mean, we know the work that he's done in, say, Police or Public. These are great, iconic theatres of Goa. And both in his songs there have been very good. And firstly, he was a brilliant actor, brilliant singer. People loved him in off stage as well. Yeah. Very warm and very, very electric kind of personality. And these are very loved characters, and losing them so early is really sad, which is why people who don't even watch theatre so much, they also have reacted, because they are true sons of the soil, and whose art and whose talent is absolutely brilliant and unsurpassed. One can only feel extremely dejected, but salute them for the work that they've done and the legacy they leave behind.
So Selvi's funeral takes place on July 27, that is tomorrow, on Wednesday, and we at Herald TV pray that his soul may rest in peace.
Yes.
The last story on our table for this week is the panchayat elections, and we have just a roundup of the things which have happened so far. That is 6,256 file nomination for the panchayat polls, and the scrutiny as we shoot this incident is taking place today.
Now, correct.
That is Tuesday.
Yeah, so after a lot of struggle back and forth, the elections are finally taking place in spite of the government's intention, if one can call it that, to postpone it further.
Yeah.
And so elections are happening. They are happening in the monsoons. All the reasons that the government, excuses that the government gave not to have it in the monsoons, were rejected by the court. So one should thank the courts and the judicial system and the petitioners.
Yeah.
And the public spirited petitioners who went to court. One should salute them for actually giving us the gift of this panchayat election. It's actually a gift given to us by the judiciary, not by the elected dispensation.
Yeah.
But we only hope that these particular elections are fought for the right reasons and the right people come into play, because ultimately local self-governance is critical to our democracy and a grassroots governance system. But the sad part here is that one gets the feeling that the entire election process is going to be will be controlled totally by respective MLAs who just want to establish their own team of sarpanchas and panchas to ensure that they control the different villages as vote banks for their elections. I think that is the worst part, because it has become the panchayats have become ATVs, not ATMs. ATVs as in anytime votes. They become ATVs of all the different MLAs, and whenever the elections come, they dip into these ATVs to get their votes through their own sarpanchas and panchas. So that has become the bane of our local self-government, and that is what we should all fight. But again, it boils down to the people. Yeah. See, for instance, today we had a story of one person who is working abroad, probably in Kuwait, who has left his, he's taken leave and has come here to fight the elections from Girdoli.
Yeah.
Girdoli, yes, in Shandor. And he's fighting. We highlighted him not because one is supporting him per se, but I think it just shows that there is some kind of a spirit in people to come and work for their village and serve the people and all that. So this genuine spirit should not be crushed by politicians and use panchayats as ATVs. I think that is what we should control against.
And the panchayats are supposed to be free from politics.
Yes. But it is not. It is exactly the opposite. It's exactly the opposite. It is not free from politics.
So we hope that in the coming week, the people of Goa go out and vote for good candidates who will serve them at their village level. So with this, it's a wrap on last week's headlines in the Herald. We hope that you enjoyed watching the week that was. I thank my guest, Mr. Sujay Gupta, Group Editor of Herald Publications, for joining me, for giving us all these insights and analysis. We hope that you keep watching Herald TV. Thank you and goodbye.